A newly-wed wife has been decapitated in a gruesome killing by her husband, according to the Texas sheriff. And this is so crazy because, how dark must your mind be where you go straight up for decapitation? That is intense. That is insane. So, the decapitated body of a young wife, married for less than 4 months, was found by Texas authorities who have charged her husband in the gruesome murder. The Waller County Sheriff confirmed to the Post. The 21-year-old Hispanic woman's body was discovered in the home, but her head was not. Sheriff Troy Guidry said. It was a portion of a body, dismembered, and a residence that was covered in blood. A gruesome scene, at best, he told reporters Thursday. The husband, Jared Dicus, 21, was interviewed by cops and confessed to the killing, Guidry revealed. The wife has not yet been identified by authorities, but a social media post by a county judge who married the duo on October 21st identified her as Angie Diaz and thanked the couple for allowing him to be part of their ceremony. This is so crazy. Based off this photo of the husband, is no emotion. None. Like, dude, how evil of a person are you to literally chop off your wife's head? So crazy. A knife, believed to be the murder weapon, was found at the property with Diaz's severed head. Dyke's family members called deputies to the couple's home, a small cottage located behind a main house where the husband's parents live in a rural area northwest of Houston Wednesday afternoon. Diaz was believed to be dead since around 11 p.m. the night before her remains were discovered. Like, what would cause someone to do this in general? There have been prior calls, disturbance wise, but nothing to this effect to this level of violence, Guidry shared. Well, I mean, obviously, because he literally chopped off her head. Of course, there wouldn't be this level of violence any other time. There would be no chance of anything getting to that extent on any of the other calls, at all. So the young wife is a Nicaraguan citizen who was described as undocumented, basically illegal, by the sheriff. And her social media posts show her involved in fitness and feature multiple photos of her and Dykus. This is pretty sad because it's basically like you have someone who is an illegal who traveled into the country illegally to find a better life, thinks that she found potentially the love of her life, or maybe just for a green card, never know, but she seems happy, and ends up marrying the person that literally chops off her head. Now, my line of thinking, I hope at the very least that she wasn't alive for the chopping. Because if you're alive while getting your head chopped off, that is even crazier than this already is. And here's the thing, too. What people need to understand who you end up marrying is a very big deal. Now, I definitely would have never expected some sort of situation like this, but financially speaking, whether or not to get married is a really big deal. Who you marry is a very big deal. If you don't agree on a lot of things, marriages can end up really bad in a lot of different ways. If you don't believe in the same religion, that can end badly. If you guys don't have the same political views, that could end badly. If you guys don't have the same viewpoints on how to spend your money, that's also a really big issue as well. What is the bedtime situation like? If you guys can't agree on that, that's also a big issue. Like people need to understand it's like when you decide to like put a ring on the finger or actually putting the legal document in place for whatever reason, like it's a much bigger deal than a piece of paper, right? But I think people just kind of like play around with this whole marriage thing, thinking, oh, I'm just going to marry someone that I'm attracted to or that could get a green card or whatever reason, you know? It's just like, hey, there's a lot of risk. Let's see some of these comments. We don't call 911. Did he Google what to do with the head after you dump the body? Jesus, this is sickening. R.I.P. Darling. See, like, that's the thing to me, right? It is so beyond the extent of what someone would potentially do out of like a crime of passion, right? Like, for example, typically you might hear, oh, the husband cheated on the wife cheated on the husband, or in that police officer situation before that she's getting gang banged or whatever by a bunch of other police officers, pretty much. Like, you hear situations like that far more often. You might end up seeing like hearing or seeing a story about like you know enraged husband shoots wife and kids or something to that effect, or husband drives Tesla off the cliff, killing whole family and whatnot. Like you see some of stuff like that, but it's typically done in a way to try to be as quick as possible with the least amount of pain, right? But this is some extremely dark stuff. Like, he must have been doing something pretty heinous before this situation. Because you don't just go like, "Oh, I'm going to chop off a body, like the head off of my wife today." That's going to be like just the first thing that comes to mind. Yeah, I'm not going to be in an argument. I'm not going to like yell at her or get yelled at. No, I'm just going to grab a knife and go chop, 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 chop. Like, no one does that. Like, this is crazy. Wait, hold on. He has a stuffed bobcat? Where do they see a stuffed bobcat? What? Oh, wait, hold on. There's more photos? Oh, okay, there is more photos. Wow. Okay, that photo's not loading. Lovely. Oh, wow. There is a stuffed bobcat. That's pretty crazy. See, this is so weird because if you were to look at his face in this photo, if you are watching this, right? There's some sort of emotion on his face that looks natural, right? And then you go to basically the mugshot, like nothing. Nothing. Like what the heck was going on in that dude's head? Too many men murdering their spouses lately. What the heck? No excuses, horrible what he did, but immigrants who marry anybody just for their paper have to not be shocked that that person flips out about. This was an extreme case, but not the only one. And like that's an interesting point of view because it's not too uncommon for like mail order brides to be a thing. So you're potentially that lady is potentially just getting pretty much bought and married to some random person, some random dude in the United States who might be a loner, might be really weird, or whatever. Like, you don't know the type of person that might be that would be willing to do that. Like, maybe they're a sweetheart, but maybe they're a psycho that will literally chop off your head. Maybe they're gonna spend all of the money that you ever make and bring into the family. Like, you don't know. That's why it's extremely important to be very careful with who you end up marrying. Let's see. These mail order brides are often abused or taken advantage of because of fear of being deported. Some of these guys are creeps who can't get girls any other way, and this person does a thumbs up bullseye emojis. Which, pretty much like that's kind of like my way of thinking about this. This is probably what the situation is. Like, I wouldn't even be surprised if this dude literally paid a smuggler to bring him a wife. Like, I would not even be surprised about that. Women and men getting paid to marry in the US to obtain legal status is unfortunate but common now. Interesting. Oh, yeah, he looks perfectly normal to me. Interesting. Regardless of her documented status, even if she married him saying she loved him, and then told him the truth that she only wanted to stay in the country, it doesn't justify cutting her head off. This dude is a wild canyon and needs to be in prison for the rest of his life. There is absolutely no reason to justify what he did. And this person says, agreed. It takes a whole other level of vile sickness to do that. And that was my thinking. It's like, this is some like next level stuff, right? This isn't like financial infidelity. This isn't infidelity. This isn't just like a normal like crime of passion, ending the other person's life because you're so angry or so sad or whatever. This is like straight up chop, 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 cut, chop, 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 chop. Like, who knows how long this dude even took to even chop off the head? Like, this is some crazy stuff, right? Like, for anyone that has like ever listened to like true crime stuff, this is some vile crap. Vile crap. Let's find out why he did this, and if he did, then put him under a train from Houston to Seattle. He confessed, so there's no if he did it, he did it. Yeah, yeah. Nothing to say about that one. Did a double take, thought it was Harry. The thing is, I wouldn't even put it past Harry to do something crazy. And by Harry, like the former prince or whatever, right? Because apparently from the book, the guy is completely full of himself and is pretty much the like the ideal definition of a spoiled rich kid. Beware of gingers. Seriously, all gingers tend to be crazy according to a survey I just made up, apparently. Interesting. Evil is real. Protect your loved ones. I agree. Sounds to me like she said it was over and he snapped. And what's even crazy to me, right? The body was inside the house, the head was inside the house, the knife was inside the house, he was inside the house, and the family members of him called the police to settle this issue. Like, oof. Satan is at work in our land. Let's see. She picked the wrong guy and ignored all the signals. Probably thought as undocumented, she had hit the jackpot with a white man and well on her way to being in the 75% club. Sorry, Brev, you should have stuck by Hilberto. You may have remained poor, but would have kept your beautiful head on your shoulder. Interesting. Green card marriages causes people to lose their heads. These two would be a story even if he hadn't killed her. Yeah. If he's a citizen and he married her, would she still be illegal? I don't know. That's what that person says. So the thing is, I think now it might differ between states and whatnot, but I think if someone that is of legal citizenship marries someone who is illegal, they can basically become like a citizen, basically getting grandfathered in, but it's kind of a long process, even with that. Like, I think that technically speaking, she wouldn't even be deemed like a citizen for at least, I think, a few years because of the prevalence of green card marriages. Crazy. Feel free to give your thoughts if you stumble upon this. I just thought this was probably one of the most vile things that I've read about because, again, like, for someone based off this photo to have no emotion after beheading, apparently, the person you chose to marry, someone that you potentially loved, right, is pretty dark to me. Like, I personally don't understand how someone could get to this point where you just wake up one day and are like, yeah, let's just chop off the head, you know? Why not? It's crazy to me. By the way, if you want to learn how to get out of debt and master your money so that at the very least finances aren't an issue in marriage, go down below or go to 14bucks.com.